right, here we go.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Women of Golf Show. I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and right here alongside, as always, is my good partner, LPGA professional, Cindy Miller. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted. That seemed like a very long intro there.
Yeah, it was a little bit longer there this morning, but we're glad to be back, and I'm certainly glad to be back. I'm still feeling a little bit, but I think I can push through. I don't want to sound like a whiner and a complainer, so I'm just going to leave it at that and just say I'm feeling much better than I was the last several weeks. But anyways, for those that are just tuning in for the very first time, welcome to the show. We appreciate it very much. And for those of you that obviously know how to get here, I'm going to explain it for those that maybe aren't as clear. Go to blogtalkradio.com and up in the search key type Women of Golf. We are live every Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, we thank those that have joined us this morning. It's also available for download through iTunes. If you go to the podcast section at itunes.com, type in again Women of Golf, and that will get you to all of the episodes, including the current one as well. So we appreciate for those of you that have been following through iTunes. At any time during the broadcast, if you want to speak to Cindy or I or any of the guests or call in just to say hello, you can do so by calling area code 347-945-5855. And you can certainly email any questions or comments about the program to womenofgolf@gmail.com. And if you're somebody in the golf industry and think you have something you'd like to share with the audience, we would love to have you. And Cindy will be more than happy to work you into the mix. You can get in touch with her at cindy@cindymillergolf.com. Or you can also get in touch with me at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. As I said, Cindy, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I'll tell you, I've been battling this thing for 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just it's just unbelievable. And like I said, I don't want to get into all the specifics, but my girlfriend and I have been battling it back and forth here for about 6 weeks, and she actually went to the doctors very early on. And they said that it's some sort of a virus. They don't know what it is. They said it's been circulating around, and basically just go home and medicate yourself. So that's what we've been doing for the last several weeks. And last week I had to, as you know, I actually stopped both of the programs. I just couldn't do it. But much better this week, so onward and upward. Got a great show, Cindy. We've got another Symetra Tour player, Caroline Westrup. She's going to be joining us here shortly. And a little bit later on, a gentleman that I'm very familiar with, that you organized to come on the show is Bob Forman. He's a certified golf fitness instructor. He's been on my other show, Golf Talk Live, several times, both as a guest and also on the Coach's Corner panel a number of times as well. Very, very smart man, really knows his stuff. So we're going to pick his brains on how to stay in shape and what types of exercise are good and what maybe some of the exercises that aren't good for the golf game. But very excited. So let's catch up, Cindy. What's been happening in the golf world on your end?
Well, we're kind of flitting around the country. Yes, Sunday night was the Jim Kelly Gala in Buffalo downtown, and we were able to go to that. We were invited to play as celebrities, so it was pretty cool. And yesterday was the Jim Kelly Celebrity Golf Tournament, which is the craziest golf tournament I've ever played in my life. It's just nuts. They have bands. They have tents out on like 5 or 6 different holes. They have throw the football and dunk somebody in a tank, which is not real fun because yesterday the high was 48 and it was raining all day long.
Wow.
So some of the players that were there were Dan Marino, Dickie Woods, which I got to take a picture with him, Chris Berman, Jim Kelly. I got to meet Fred Jackson. And I must say I really miss C.J. Spiller. I'm so sad that he's going to play in New Orleans this year because I love C.J. And you know what was really the coolest thing of all was Rex Ryan, who's the new head coach for the Buffalo Bills, had the whole football team come out to the event to kick it off.
Oh, wow.
That's never happened before. And so I had breakfast with a bunch of new players. I don't remember their names. I did write down their numbers so I can snoop them. A few cornerbacks and a punter, and it was a great day. Great day. They raised I don't know how many thousands of dollars for kids in Western New York. So Jim Kelly, God bless him, he seems to be okay.
Yeah.
The cancer is subsided, and got to meet Jill, his wife, Sunday night, which was great, and she's written 2 books, and Jim and his daughter Erin have just finished a book called Kelly Tough. So that was super. And when we finished, we got in the car and we drove to Philadelphia. We got here at midnight, and today we are doing workshops and seminars for the ACE Insurance Women, their leadership conference. It's called the ACE Invitational. And we're going to deliver a session called The Why Behind What Motivates You. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, wow. Yeah, very, very, very good. Just a quick note back on Jim Kelly. As most people know that follow any sort of news know that he's been, as you mentioned, he's been battling for several years now with cancer, and as we understand now, it's been in remission for a little while. So he's certainly doing much better. But does a lot of great work, charity work. He's really been. I know he's had this tournament for a number of years now, and I know you were involved. I think the last year or so, haven't you? You attended to the event.
I think it might be 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but what a great day it is. I mean, it is just so fun. Andre Reed was there. It's so fun, and they had a long drive Encore Golf. Which we've had the people from Encore Golf on our show. They did a long drive contest, and Rex Ryan got up there and he shanked the first 2 drives, and after he got done, I walked up and gave him a card. I go, "I'm Cindy Miller, your local golf pro. I can help you."
Way to go,
and he got
Cindy.
real defensive and a lot of excuses. Well, I'm not even loose yet. And I thought, well, you're going to use those excuses for the Bills team or what? Anyway, it's such a great day. It's fun to see those football players try to hit a golf ball because we don't all get the same gifts.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, certainly a lot of the other athletes, whether it be football or baseball, a lot of them as their careers start to wind down a little bit, a lot of them have taken on and sort of transferred into golf. Some of them doing things like Jim with tournaments and that to help to give back to their communities and that, which is fantastic. Always love to see those. But just it's just something that keeps those competitive juices when they can't get out there and grind it out on the football field, or they can't hit too many more home runs anymore. They like to get out there and be competitive anyways. And it's just a great way to have some fun. And golf that's one of the things I love, Cindy, about golf. Is you can play it into your ripe old age of 100. If you can still draw breath, you can get out there and hit some golf balls, and that's unlike really any other sport out there.
Absolutely, that's for sure.
Well, I see that Caroline is waiting in the wings, so we're going to bring her on and talk a little bit about golf. And let me just do a quick introduction here, Cindy, and then we'll bring her on the show. As we mentioned at the beginning, Caroline Westrup is our Symetra Tour player. She's going to be joining us here in just a second. She's had 6 career top 10 finishes on the Symetra Tour while she's been out there. And I think actually last year, 2014, was her beginning year on that tour, but she's played golf all over Europe and whatnot. Also played college golf for Florida State, and I think currently resides in Tallahassee, Florida, if I'm not mistaken, which is, of course, where the main campus is. She's played for the Swedish national team, and but now I understand I think represents Norway, so we'll have to ask her to tell the story about that. But and she's also played a number of times, 11 I think starts in 2013-14 season on the LPGA Tour. So without any further hesitation, Cindy, let's bring on Caroline.
Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Thanks for
Caroline.
having me on the show.
Well, we're very excited to have you on the show, and Cindy, I'm going to let you start off this morning, just because I know that you're familiar with all the ladies on the tour and that. But why don't you start off this morning?
Caroline, how long have you been out of school? When did you graduate from Florida State?
I graduated in fall of 2009, so this is my 6th year as a professional.
And did you qualify? Tell us how, have you played on the LPGA Tour? Have you qualified for the tour? Are you conditional? Tell us your story since 2009.
Okay, so I first came out here after I graduated and played a full season here, and then I missed home a little bit after being over here 4 years and then playing 1 year and not be able to see my family. So instead of doing LPGA Q school, I did European Q school and played out there for 3 years. And then I felt like I was ready to go back and did LPGA Q school, but unfortunately did not make it, but played a full season on the Symetra Tour and played very well, and then went back to Q school and then had qualified to have conditional status for last year and played in 10 events, and then this year I also have conditional status. So,
well, that's good.
That's my
now
story.
Let me ask you, the 10 events, did you happen to make the cut in any of them?
Yes, I did.
Awesome. That is so hard, not knowing where you're going to live.
Yes,
being
exactly.
so flexible about. Yeah, tell us how you tried to do that and juggle all that.
Last year it was very hard because it was my first year. I didn't really know what my status would give, how many, starts on the LPGA Tour would give me. So it was very much like week-to-week basis, like, okay, on Tuesday when the final field was set for the LPGA, was I in or out? Okay, I'm going to Michigan or I'm going to Arkansas or am I going? So it was not that far of between the events, like versus being like if I would have played the Symetra Tour event, it wasn't that big of a drive or flying or so it worked out okay. But and you got into it and you had to. I'm a person that likes to know where I will be the next week and have a plan, but I just had to kind of go with it, and I learned a lot from it.
Wow, fantastic.
So
go ahead,
had you played the golf courses, I'm sure you had played the golf courses on the Symetra Tour, so you were familiar with them, but my guess is that if you got into an LPGA event Tuesday at 5 o'clock, you had not played the golf course. Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
So now you've got to fly to a new place where you're not sure you belong, and tomorrow's the Pro-Am, and the tournament starts Thursday, and you've never seen the course, and you're a planner?
Yeah. Well, there was some events that was like that, but then some events I kind of knew how to read the whole list because we get a list that says, what place, what alternate you are and stuff like that. So knowing that people will pull out, and so I could plan a little bit ahead on a couple events that I knew that I was going to be getting into the field. So it was always having a plan B and a plan A and plan B.
Caroline, let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you a question. Speaking of planning, there's a lot of listeners out there that that obviously don't have the benefit of playing at the level that you do. But nevertheless, I think we all should have sort of a game plan. Given the ideal conditions, you've arrived in plenty of time. How do you prepare for an event? What is your process that you prepare for an event?
So, for example, this week we are in Battle Creek, Michigan, and I did not play here last year because I played on the LPGA this week. And so I came in on yesterday and didn't practice yesterday, but did a pretty good workout and just kind of got to know the place a little bit more. And then today I'm going to play a practice round, 18 holes, and then we have a Pro-Am dinner tonight because I'm in the Pro-Am tomorrow. So yeah, I play Pro-Am tomorrow, and then usually I do another workout, and then Thursday might play 9 or just practice and take a half a day, and then the tournament starts Friday.
Wow. Very good. That's quite a busy schedule. Now, do you, obviously in the Pro-Am, it's for those that aren't familiar with that, obviously a lot of amateurs get to come in and connect with some of the pros, and they play in your group. Do you find it difficult to in that process, because you're still trying to learn the course, you're trying to find your own game, if you will, in preparation for that week, but at the same time you want to be hospitable to the pro? How do you find a balance in that?
Well, that's why I do my practice round today. So I've seen the course, and then it's kind of good to just come up with your game plan too when you do the Pro-Am. But the Pro-Am is really for the amateurs and for the sponsors of the event. So, and I really enjoy doing that. I'm very sociable and like to meet new people and give them. They usually want a couple tips, and it's a team. And you play a scramble, so it's like a team feeling. So I think it's a lot of fun.
Very good. Now, you mentioned about fitness, that you do a workout in that, and fitness is obviously very important. Even for golf, a lot of people misunderstand, don't realize just how important it is to be in good shape to play golf. Do you have a specific fitness routine? And if so, what advantages, if any, does it give a player?
Well, when I'm on a tournament week, I try to get three workouts in during the week, at least 2 if I can't get 3. But in an off week, I would say I get. So I think for me, I love working out, but I also like to stay in shape, and then also that would help me, with my game. When you travel a lot, especially you travel 5 weeks in a row, you'll get fatigue and you'll get tired easily if you're not in shape, because you have to concentrate a lot and then traveling in between. But it also prevents injuries. I've knock on wood. I've been very fortunate to not have any issues with my body. And if your body gets injured, you can't perform to your highest level, and then your season it's not as good as it probably should have been. So my dad is a strength and conditioning coach and fitness coach, so I think I've gotten a little bit for him. But then also, if you look at the best players in the world today, they are in good shape, So
yeah, that's so true. And Cindy, you see a lot of that now more and more with a lot of the players out there, that fitness has become a very high priority in their routine, correct?
Oh, absolutely. It's strength, it's flexibility, it's it helps with endurance, as Caroline just mentioned. My question is, what kind of workout do you do? And has someone prescribed a workout, or do you just do whatever you think you need to do?
My dad helps me, but then also I have a strength and conditioning coach that works with the team at Florida State, and he's very good. And we just I started working with him this year, and I've seen a lot of improvements in different things. But we do a lot of. People say, oh, but you don't have to, lift weights, right? But, yeah, we do. I mean, we do everything from squats to bench press, but then also a lot of box jumps, explosive things. And I also use the TRX. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's good for your body weight. I do that a lot when I'm on the road. It's easy to take with you. Just put it up. If you have a door even, you can do it in your hotel room or whatever, if you don't have a gym for the week. But and then a lot of core flexibility, stretching. So a little bit of a combination. But yeah, I definitely do weights, and I usually lift very heavy when I'm on off week.
What's the besides the obvious health benefits that you're going to get from having a good fitness routine? What are some of the benefits that you've seen in your game? How has it helped your game by staying in shape? What are some of the things that you've noticed, maybe here particularly in this last year or so, since really getting involved in your fitness?
Well, I would say, I'm one of the longer hitters on tour, and that's always an advantage when you play, and because the golf courses are getting longer, and also for my swing to stay in good throughout the year, because if you don't have this, constant workout every week, you might get weaker, and then your swing will change. So just stay, throughout the whole year and be able to perform good in the beginning of the year and at the end of the year.
Yeah, so obviously stamina is a big benefit from having a good fitness routine. Is, as you said, being able to play week to week rather. What about something like? Obviously, it's helped with your distance and things like that. Has it also helped mentally because obviously. And Bob, our guest that's going to be coming up here in a little bit, can get in a little bit more of that. But obviously, when you have a good fitness routine, it's also good mentally. It helps keep you sharp in that. Have you noticed that improvement as well, that you're a little bit mentally sharper than since doing a lot of your fitness?
Yeah, absolutely. Like when I've had like 5 weeks in a row, for example, that my last week can still be the best one maybe. That happened last year. I would think, that the first one or second one might be the best because that's when you're more sharp in your head and your body's fit and rested. But actually last year when I had 5 tournaments in a row, my final one was the best one. And I think that says something, that my body is in a good place and it still will still be able to perform the 5th week.
Yeah, and that's so important. Cindy has talked about many times on the program, having that mental sharpness, and really the mental game is such a huge component in many ways, even more so really than the physical game, but they certainly do work hand in hand. What are your strengths and weaknesses of your game? What's your strongest part of your game, and what's the area that you really know that you need to keep working on to keep it sharp?
I would say I've always been very good off the tee. I hit about 85% fairways, and then I also have a longer average, about 260. So that helps a lot. Obviously, you're always in play, and then you hit it, and then you have a shorter iron left. So that's definitely my strongest part. I would say just like a little like what I saw on the LPGA Tour, the courses are getting longer, the par fours, and you're standing more of it with 4 irons in your hands and 5 irons, and to be able to put them up to closer to the pin and make birdie out of those holes, I would say would be something that I would like to improve. And then also my putting. My putting has gotten better. I started using aim point this year, and I've gotten more confident on the green. But you see, players like Stacey Lewis and Inman Park and Lydia Ko, they make a lot of putts. So just continue on doing that, improving my putting even more. It's definitely something that I have to focus more on to get to the next level.
Fantastic. Now, I also, too, one of the things, you obviously have to travel a lot, so that adds to some of the stress and anxiety of having to play if you're moving around a lot week to week. Sometimes that zaps not only a little bit of energy physically, but also mentally as well. Obviously, you've got a good fitness routine, and that helps on both ends. Nat, what about nutrition and things like that? Is that something that you're seeing is becoming more and more important out on the tour?
Yes, I would say so. Definitely, I focus a lot on that too. I have a little problem with low blood sugar, so I have found a routine that works out good for me when I play, so I don't get any of the lows, because then I get, more dizzy and more fatigue and stuff like that. So I eat a lot on the course, and I see a lot of the girls don't, but I mean, I think that's very important. I usually take an example. If you think about horse racing, they think so much about what they put into the horse and what they eat for them to be able to perform to the highest level. And I mean, we should think about that the same with us. Like, if we put in crappy food, that might not hurt us, but it's definitely not going to help us. So
yep.
I look into that a lot and try to eat, good and healthy food.
Well, especially going into a tournament, I mean, you don't want to be loading up on cheeseburgers and French fries and things like that. That might be nice to have once in a while, or a pizza or something, but not.
Yeah.
That's not
maybe
good
Sunday
energy.
night when the tournament's done.
Yeah. When you celebrated.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That's something that you want to maybe celebrate a little bit, have a little bit of fun. You can't be eating all salads and whatnot all the time, but certainly, as you said, what you put into your body is going to carry you through the week. And that. What do you have, if anything, Caroline? You mentioned about having to play in the pro-ams. Obviously, besides specific tips on their game, what are some things that, if you had a group of amateurs in front of you right now, what would you say to them as a general rule, if you will, on how to get the best out of their games?
I would say a lot of people go to the driving range and try to figure out their swing and hit a lot of balls. You never see really when someone was warming up that, they go to the putting green or try to chip, or it's always going to the driving range first. I would say just a general would be to start off with actually putting and chipping and get really good at that, and then go to the swing. Because I think when you get your short game figured out very good, I think the big, long game will come to you easier too.
Now, how old were you when you first... Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Cindy, please.
It almost takes less, some stress off of your long game if you can get it up and down.
Exactly. Yeah. Because
otherwise you're always... It's funny, the more greens you hit, it's almost harder to make more birdies because you have to hit it so close, typically. I mean, not too many people make 5 30-footers around. And if you do, I'll pay you to let me do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's almost, I think people believe that they need to hit it better, and they really need to miss it better.
Yeah, exactly. To get your bad shots, closer, and then if you're confident that you can make an up and down from anywhere, you're not stressed about it. So
exactly.
What do you do? Cindy's talked about here, as I mentioned a few moments ago, about the mental side of things and really, being focused. And that she did a series here earlier in the program when we first got going called Own Your Game, and it was really covered a lot of the mental aspects in that. What is sort of the thought process as you're maneuvering around the course? Obviously, you can't be so focused on the course itself. There's things. What do you think about when you're getting ready for the shots, and then what do you do in between shots to sort of, release the tension in your mind so that you're not getting so, stressed out or too much anxiety building up? What do you do to just sort of let loose on the course?
Well, I like to talk to the other girls in the group or to my caddy and try to, just focus on something else, walking down the fairway to the ball. But then when I get to the ball, I go into this, bubble type of deal and, okay, so this is the yardage, this is the wind, the pin is there, and then, try to pick my club and do my routine, and I think that's important to have. It's a routine that you can fall, back on. That's when you get stressed. If you get stressed and nervous, you just, continue to do your routine. And then something that I learned from the Vision 54, it's Pia Nielsen, their book, Every Shot Must Have a Purpose. I like that you step in, you go outside that box where the ball is, and then you can't step into the box until you're completely sure how you're going to hit the shot. I usually visualize the shot before, and then if you are still don't really know if this is the right club or not, then yeah, okay, you're not allowed to step into that box until you're secure about that this is going to be good. And then you put a good swing on it instead of, doing it halfway and then it doesn't even turn out very good. But if you commit and it might be long or short, but at least you hit a good shot, but then it was the wrong decision. So that's something I go through before I hit my shot.
Lynn and Pia are awesome, aren't they?
Sorry?
I said Lynn and Pia are awesome, aren't they?
Yeah, they're great.
What do you do to recover, Caroline, when everybody makes some bad shots, Nat? Are you somebody that allows it to really take root and become a distraction for the rest of your round, or are you somebody that's been able to, engage that mental toughness, if you will, and be able to put it behind you and move on? Some players can do that very well. Others have a difficult time. Is that a strength for you, or is that something that you still struggle with from time to time?
I would say that's a strength of me. I've done a lot of mental training and have had a mental coach since I was 16 years old about. And so that's something that I have, it's definitely something you need to practice on. And I learned that you have about 50 seconds after your shot that you have to try to forget about it. And if you manage to do that, it will kind of go away and you will not have it in your head. But if it gets longer time, that might flash back later in the round. So I try to, just get it out or get angry. And I think you're allowed to get angry at yourself. But then just kind of, move on and focus on the next shot and try to make that hole as good as it can be from where you are.
Fantastic. What's next? Obviously, you have you're gearing up this week, but where do you see yourself in the next year? Where would you like to see yourself in the next year?
Oh, I would see myself have a full status on the LPGA Tour. That would be my ultimate goal. And
hopefully a win in the process?
Yes, that too. I've been waiting on it. I finished second a couple times, so still just waiting on it. But it's about to be patient. That's definitely, in golf. Patient is a big word.
Exactly, and we're certain you're going to do very well. Well, Caroline, we want to thank you for joining us this morning. What a treat and a pleasure to have you on the show, and certainly would love to have you come back anytime. And good luck not only this week, but good luck in the next several months, and hopefully that win will come soon.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
thank
you so much for having me on the show. I would love to come back on it.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, you too. Good luck.
Bye. Okay, bye.
That was Caroline Westrup from the Symetra Tour. I think she's going to do very well. I think she's got a great attitude and certainly seems to know what she wants in her game and seems to have a good grasp on everything. Sydney, we're going to bring out Bob. I see that he's waiting in the wings here. And let me just read a little bit about Bob. As I mentioned early in the program, Bob's been on my other show, Golf Talk Live, a number of times. A great guest and a lot of insight into the fitness side. And just tell you a little bit about Bob. He holds a Master of Science degree in exercise physiology. He's a certified as a golf fitness instructor through the Titleist Performance Institute, or TPI, and is also a certified personal trainer through the American College of Sports Medicine. He also provides fitness assessment and training at Rick Murphy's Caroline Golf Academy in Greensboro, North Carolina, and at the Barefoot Resort and Golf in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He's had over 30 years in the fitness field and specialized in golf fitness programming, bringing to the table a passion for the game of golf and a genuine desire to help golfers play better and healthier golf. Certainly set apart from the rest, just a great guy. Consults for a number of clubs and resorts, and some clients include golfers really of all skill levels and ages, from junior golfers up through and including tour players. And Bob's book, Functional Golf Fitness Training, has been called by far the best, and I would agree with that, and is a favorite among golfers, teaching professionals, and coaches. And he's been featured in Golf Week and Carolina's Golf Association magazines, and frequently appears on television, a number of podcasts, and of course our program as well, or my program on Golf Talk Live. Also travels up and down the East Coast offering golf fitness workshops and clubs and organizations. His golf fitness articles have been published in club newsletters throughout the U.S., U.K., Australia, virtually all around the world, and of course even up in my neck of the woods in Canada. So without further hesitation, let's bring on Mr. Bob Forman.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. How are you?
Great.
We're
Thanks for
very
joining
well.
us.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob, for joining us. I got to tell you something kind of funny. When I heard that you were coming on the show when Cindy had slated you for this, and I thought, well, I know him, so I sent you an email, and you said, what did you say in the response to it? You said you get around or something.
Yeah, to you that you get around. Boy, you're like in all these different various shows. But Bob, I certainly appreciate you coming on here as well, and let's get right down to it. One of the things that I know that really needs to be talked about, and maybe you can just kind of give us to start us off a general overview of things. Maybe some of the common physical deficiencies that golfers have, and how it can impact their swing. Yeah, oh gosh, where do I start? There's definitely about 7 or 8 common deficiencies that many golfers have, and it's regardless of age or skill level or male, female. I mean, there are some specific gender deficiencies as well, but tightness in the hamstring muscle groups, which are the muscles in the back of the thigh, are is a big factor as it relates to being able to get that hip rotation, that hip speed that everybody's looking for, the Rory McIlroy speed, to help them get distance in their golf shots. It also impacts your low back pain and discomfort. Tight hip flexors, which tend to be more predominant in women, again, impacts golf posture. We tend to see a lot of young women and young golfers in the S posture, which is characterized by a swaying of the lower back, and which will eventually just destroy your lower back. So we see a lot of that, a lot of tightness in the mid-back region, the thoracic spine area, which is really responsible for rotation in the golf swing, lack of external rotation in the shoulder. We can go on and on. Yeah,
there's so many, and obviously, unfortunately, we have limited time. But Cindy, I know that I'm sure that you've got some questions as well that you wanted to ask Bob.
Let me ask you, Bob, because I'm TPI fitness certified and junior certified as well, and maybe I haven't tried to promote it or market it or specialize in it, but I find that there's an awful lot of golfers that really are not committed to becoming and being all they can be. Do you have, in other words, they don't want to hear about the fitness until they have a pain.
Yeah,
so there's very few people that will be doing preventative work, and people that have to exercise because they can't play otherwise. Do you find that to be the case?
Oh, definitely. It's easier to go out and drop a few $100s for a new driver that's going to help you get down the fairway another 10 to 15 yards supposedly, or to better your game, or to go out and buy the new improved golf ball. A lot of golfers don't really focus inward on the mechanism that's swinging the golf club and hitting the golf ball, and that's really the 15th club in their bag, and that's their body. I think there's just people don't realize that their bodies have a lot to say about their golfing performance and their injury potential. But I think, with the fact that since 2006, when all this information started to come out about the benefits of exercise, that, more and more people are becoming cognizant of the fact, when I go around and do workshops, you can see light bulbs go off as I'm talking about the correlation between musculoskeletal deficiencies and inefficiencies in the golf swing and injury potential. So, I think there just needs to be a whole lot more education, and because once people
connect, they get that connection, then they tend to want to do more in terms of improving their body. But yeah, it's been a long road, and we still got a long way to go.
And I think there's also, Bob, there's a lot of misconception too. When people hear the term, workout and that, they're thinking about, especially for guys. I mean, women, I think it's a little bit different. They probably have a different perception of it. But, the guys, they're seeing themselves, I got to go to the gym and, lift all these heavy weights. And they just, it kind of is, especially as men get older, it's just not something, when we're in our 20s, we're doing it because we want to impress the ladies, of course. We want to look good and be all buffed up and that. But when we start getting to our 40s and 50s and beyond, it's like, I don't want to go to the gym and spend an hour sweating and that. I'd rather, as you said, go out and spend a couple $100 on a new driver and help my game that way. But it's really not the case. There's a lot of great exercises out there that are beneficial for golf that don't involve a lot of high physical exertion, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, most of the, I have an article on my website that compares fitness versus golf fitness because, there is definitely a difference. I mean, people, when they hear fitness, they're thinking, lifting their body weight, running 5Ks, all that kind of stuff. But self-fitness is really kind of helping the golfer identify where their anatomical deficiencies are and correcting those deficiencies. So for many, 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 many golfers, a lot of it is stretching, range of motion, flexibility. The strength component is also important, but it's a lot of functional strength training. It's not the big bulky equipment. It's not the heavy weightlifting. So a lot of golfers, when I get done with them after I assess and I put them on their corrective program, they're kind of surprised at the type of exercises that they're doing because it's not really that labor intensive. And again, for many, it's range of motion and stretching to work on flexibility. But again, once you get to the strength component, it's more functional in nature that's specific to the golf swing. So and it's stuff that they can do at their home. You don't need the big bulky equipment, as they say. You can do a lot of it with the exercise tubes and bands and stability balls and all that kind of stuff, which, is relatively inexpensive if you wanted to even set up a little golf fitness gym in your house. I mean, it's easy to do, and like I say, the exercises are very beneficial.
Exactly. And I think also it differs on the age. I mean, obviously, what you might address with a younger crowd, say in their 20s or even 30s, and then you get up into the 40s, 50s, might be, again, a little bit different what some of the things you're going to focus on. And then, again, with some of the seniors, 60 and above, it's going to be a whole different approach. Is that correct? Or
To a point, yeah, to a point. I probably have assessed hundreds of golfers over the years, and I haven't found anybody yet to go through the assessment and pass every single component. There's usually 2 or 3 deficiencies that come up, and in most cases, it's more like 5, 6, or 7 deficiencies. For the younger kids, you think that would be able to go through the components, and they're not, again, labor-intensive components. For many of them, because of the fact that they're not as physically active, as they should be, they got great thumb strength, playing with all the electronic toys and gadgets. But, as far as, glute strength and as far as, in some cases, even flexibility, you'd be surprised how poorly they do. As we get older, obviously, we become a little more sedentary. We're sitting a lot. And then, that just kind of starts destroying their range of motion and flexibility with the muscle groups that are important for the golf swing. And then again, with guys, in terms of back issues, which is still the number one injury in golf for everybody. A lot of it, hamstring flexibility plays a huge role, and men tend to be tighter in the hamstrings. For women, again, that sway posture, that S posture, tends to destroy the lower back, and that begins with tightness in the hip flexors, and that tends to be more prevalent in women. So, yes and no. There are some specific areas that tend to pop up during the assessment, with the various ages and genders, but for the most part, it's an open book.
Yeah, and I think it all depends. Obviously, as you said, when you do the different assessments and that, what what your findings are, and you've indicated here that you've been kind of surprised at really even some of the youngsters, some of the areas that you would think that they would be very proficient in actually are not, just because they're not getting out there and engaging in some sort of physical activity on a regular basis. So they're actually weaker in some ways than maybe somebody that's a little bit more mature. Cindy, sorry, go ahead.
The other thing you said is, the whole thing with specialization, especially in golf, over the years, over the past 20, 30 years, it's been more specializing. Kids are getting into golf, and that's all they're doing all year round. Now, golf will eventually produce imbalances in the body because it's a repetitive, one-sided activity. I mean, look at the pros, the younger pros on tour, and just dig into their laundry list of injuries. And Tiger Woods is the poster child. I mean, the fact that as a 2-year-old, we saw him on Mike Douglas hitting golf balls, and that's all he did as a kid. So, unfortunately, they're not developing all the motor skills that they should be developing, and they're creating imbalances in their body by playing this one-sided repetitive activity. So that's another reason why it's important to kind of get together with somebody who can take you through an assessment, identify where your deficiencies are, and correct those deficiencies so that you can bring musculoskeletal balance back into your system, and that just reduces the big potential for injury and stuff. There's a program coming down from Canada which is really kind of starting to have an impact in the States, and it's called LTAD, Long-Term Athletic Development. And basically they started with their hockey programs up there, and the PGA of Canada has embraced it big time. And like I say, it's starting to come down here into the States. But the whole model is that they want to help the youth develop all motor skills, throwing, catching, striking a ball, stuff like that, jumping, hopping, skipping. And then there are certain age groups, at certain ages, you want to focus on various motor skill development and strength and flexibility, and depending upon maturation levels and growth spurts. But it's important, I think, that we kind of develop that. I think we are, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and it's good to hear. Cindy, I know that you still, get out there and play in that. Do you try to, do things to keep yourself active off of the golf course in order to help your game?
Well, I do, and I don't do it as much as I should, of course, but I am now motivated because there's going to be a U.S. Women's Senior Open in 3 years, and 3 years is a big deal to me, so I'm hoping I'm still alive and that I can walk and play 72 holes and qualify to play. So, again, there has to be a reason for people to do things, and I've got an jawbone up that I try to walk 10,000 miles or 10,000 steps a day. And I do have bands, and I do have some TPI exercises that I do that I was fortunate enough to have Lance Gill from the TPI guys try to prescribe with me and to me. So, yeah, it's very, very, very important. And, again, I was at the Williamsburg LPGA tournament a few weeks ago, and as I sat on the bench, I realized I'm way older than these girls, but they're not bigger than me. And so there's a reason that they hit it so far, and they really understand the importance in investing in themselves, as you would say, the 14th or the 15th club. Not only their mind, but their will and their body, and that's really the difference. And if you're not willing to do that, you can't be as good as you could be. I am going to go back and mention something about the kids and the long-term athletic development. And we have, once I did get TPI certified and then went back and got junior certified, we created a TPI Junior Academy, and these kids have an absolute ball. And I had a little issue kind of personally because I thought, are their parents going to get mad that they're not hitting balls? And the question or the answer was no, they really didn't get mad that they weren't hitting as many balls because we had different cyclones, if you will, and different segments, and we're teaching them how to jump and run and skip and throw. And you'd be amazed at how many kids don't know how to skip with opposite arms and opposite legs. Do you find that, Bob?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, the motor skill development in the kids is really kind of bad. I mean, they don't have as much physical education in school. They don't get outside and play as much. So, and unfortunately, what we're seeing, Cindy and Ted, is that we're seeing a lot of people now in their 30s show up with bone fractures. And a lot more than in the past, and the reasoning is that, again, because that's the age that kind of grew up with, the technology and the handheld games and all that. So, I mean, they're going to have, great strength in their thumbs, but everything else has kind of gone to pot, and because of that, we're starting to see consequences. I mean, not only with bone density, but diabetes is now huge amongst, there's a big growth, increase in type 2 diabetes in the adolescents and stuff like that. So unfortunately, that lifestyle that's been developed is starting to have an impact. So we need to kind of turn the clock and go back to the old days when play was a big part of the growing up.
Yeah, I know for myself personally, growing up, my father was very instrumental in helping me get in better shape, and his solution to the problem was simply opening the front door, pointing outside, and saying "Get out," and and that was basically. And that's true, Bob. It's really sad in a lot of ways. And we joke about it, but pardon me, it is really sad in a way when you see that sort of younger generation that's coming up that has been so mesmerized, if you will, for lack of better words, with all this technology that they're really missing out. I mean, I think as a youngster when I was growing up, the different things that we used to do, just getting out, just different physical activities. I'm not even putting aside for a second the sports, just the different physical activities that we used to do as youngsters outside, just running and playing and skipping and jumping and what have you, that kept us active. And by the time, we came in for dinner and had our meal, I mean, we were zonked. We were worn out. Now what's happening? Right, if you came in for dinner, but the point is that I think what's happening now with a lot of these kids is they're getting their bodies are not getting the rejuvenation, if you will, but their minds are being so activated and so encapsulated, if you will, with all of this technology that their minds are not able to shut down. So that's why you're seeing these kids up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, playing these games or texting or tweeting or what have you, because they're not able to wind themselves down, and they've had nothing to sort of physically tire them out. Cindy, you talked about in what you're doing now, and I think that's fantastic. And the parents probably love it in a lot of ways because their kids are probably getting a little tuckered out through the program. So by the time they come home, they can just sort of get them ready for bed or at least calm them down a little bit for the evening.
Well, and what's really funny is to see the look on the parents' face when they watch their kid look like a spaz as they're trying to skip. I mean, they're horrified, like, holy cow, what's wrong with my son or my daughter? And yeah. I've walked up to them and I said, we really have to work on this. This is a left brain, right brain motor skill that really is very, very important. And once they see that, they're all in, which I'm grateful for.
And I think the big part, too, is the education, getting parents to realize that the long-term impact of specialization and being inactive is really the thing that they should be concerned with. Just being in the health field for 30 years and seeing the consequences. I mean, even today, we're starting to hear a lot more about inactivity and specifically sitting. And again, I've written an article on how sitting destroys your golf game because it impacts specific muscle groups that we talked about at the beginning of the segment, tight hamstrings, tight hip flexors, weak glutes, and all those develop from sitting for prolonged periods of time. and then all the clinical stuff that just goes on in your body, which is not good. So, yeah, we really need to, healthcare is healthcare reform that's coming down the pike that's focusing on prevention. Hopefully we'll really also focus on physical activity and telling folks, that they need to be physically active during the day.
And that's something I remember, as I said, the other thing growing up is I was somebody that hated sitting for long periods of time. And obviously as you get older a little bit, that changes somewhat. But, I even find sometimes during the day when I'm working, obviously I do a lot of stuff with the computer and that as well during the day at certain points. But if I'm not out giving a lesson or teaching in some fashion, I'm on the computer and I find that after a few moments, if I don't get my butt out of that chair, it just drives me nuts. And I just think that that's something that's been lacking a lot with some of the younger generations coming up, as they're just in front of that computer or in front of that tablet or what have you, and they just don't move.
And as a consequence, what I'm seeing a lot, I'm seeing a seat posture epidemic out there. The bowing of the spine while you're standing at address over the ball, which used to be an older golf disease, but now I'm seeing it a lot more in younger kids because of the fact, they're hunched over their computers, they're hunched over their iPads and stuff like that. So the body adapts to the position that it's placed in for a prolonged period of time. So when you're sitting over your computer, your shoulders are rounded, you're shortening up all the muscles in the front part of the chest, you're elongating and weakening the muscles in the upper back, and then that just follows you out onto the golf course. And the seat posture, it's just not a posture you want to be in because it's going to limit your backswing. It's going to cause it to have, dynamic posture. You're going to have to change your posture in order to get the club back further. It's going to impact distance. It's going to impact ball striking. So right out of the gate, you're impacted because of your lifestyle.
Yeah, well said. Bob, we just got a minute or two left here. Where can those that are interested in learning a bit more about how to take not just better care of themselves, but how they can maybe get in touch with you to have an assessment done, where can they reach out to you? Do you have a website? I know you do, but share with the listeners where they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, thanks. The website is golffitcarolina.com, and it's just one F and one T, so it's GOLFIT Carolina.com. My email address is bob@golffitcarolina.com. And the book, as you mentioned, thank you for doing that, is Functional Golf Fitness Training, and you can get that on Amazon as an ebook, or you can go to the book patch and get a print copy. And it basically goes over the common deficiencies, how to do self-assessments to see whether or not you may have that deficiency, how it impacts your swing, how it impacts injury potential, and then it also has over 40 exercises that you can do to correct those deficiencies.
Very good.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and particularly for the ladies listening out there, this is something that, pertains to them as well. It's not just, when we think, as I said earlier, when we think of fitness, we're thinking about going to the gym, and it's not. There's a lot of things, as you mentioned, Bob, that we don't necessarily have to go to the gym. There's a lot of things, Cindy, as you mentioned as well. There's things that you do outside of the gym. It's not a matter of necessarily always having a gym membership, or I don't have time to. I've got other activities going on that I don't have time to go and commit an hour or so. There's things that we can do in our everyday life, at home, even, or even just out and around. Our community that can help benefit and ultimately benefit our golf game, and particularly for the ladies out there. I mean, I know you're busy and juggling a lot of responsibility throughout the day, both with a career in some cases and also family life and that. But there's no excuse for not doing something to take better care of ourselves, because ultimately, as you said, Cindy, you want to play in that Senior Women's Open coming up here. And yourself that you've got to do things and preparedness for that. So, ladies, again, Bob, quickly, if you will, give out that website again. I insist that you go and check Bob's website out. He's a great guy and knows a lot about the fitness game.
Thanks, Ted. Yeah, it's GolfFit Carolina, GOLFIT Carolina.com.
Perfect. Well, on behalf of Cindy and I, Bob, thank you very, very much for coming on this show as well. And I know you'll be coming on Golf Talk Live here before too long. I think I've got you slated down for another episode here. And I can't remember, Bob, but I don't think I ever got one of your books.
Oh, you didn't?
I don't think I did.
I'm going to have to send you one.
All right, I would love to have one. I would love to have one.
Email.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks
for
having me.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you very much, Bob, for joining us today, and much continued success, and we enjoyed your input for the show.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks.
All right,
Bob.
Take care.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
A lot of great things, that we can do to help out. We just have another minute or two, Cindy. Just very quickly tell us a little bit more about some of the programming that you're doing. You were just mentioning here a few moments ago.
We hold the TPI Junior Academy to help, and you know what? We've done it with adults as well, to get them moving and realize the muscles that are needed to be able to perform an efficient golf swing. And so we have the kids come in, and the first thing they do is warm up, and we run, we jump, we skip, we throw. We practice throwing little bean bags at things. It's all kinds of fun. It's just there's different cyclones, and we do different things, and we do lag putting drills, and it's just all about fitness and getting them in better shape. It's a lot of fun. In fact, I run and jump and skip and throw, and I've already tripped myself and fallen on the floor. In fact, we had CJ Spiller come in last year and showed us how to do karaoke twist and lift up your legs and in fact I videotaped him. It was pretty good. And all the kids are like, oh wow, is that what you do when you're a professional football player? It's really good for the kids to see that they really need to be fit.
Yeah, that's so true. And Cindy, for those that listening out there, I know they're not all in your area, but for those that are in your area that are listening, if they want to participate or get involved in some of these programs, how can they reach out to you to do so?
It's Cindy at cindymillergolf.com. Cindy at cindymillergolf.com.
Perfect. So make sure that you do that for those of you tuning in, or if you've got some youngsters that need to get fit and you're tired of them sitting on the couch and not doing anything, get them into Cindy Miller's program there, and let's whip some of these youngsters into shape. We want to, again, Cindy and I want to take the opportunity to thank our special guest today, Caroline Westrup from the Symetra Tour. Thank you, Caroline, for coming on and sharing some of your thoughts and viewpoints on life on tour. We always appreciate that. And, of course, Mr. Bob Forman, a certified golf fitness instructor. Bob, thank you for coming on as well and telling us that we need to get up off our duffs and get out there and stay in shape. It's going to not only help us in life, but it's also going to help our golf game. So save that $200 that you were going to spend on upgrading your getting a new driver or some other piece of equipment, and invest it wisely in connecting with a great golf fitness instructor or fitness instructor in general, and get out there and take shape. Thank you very much for tuning in. Cindy and I, actually, Cindy, you won't be back here next week. You've got something. What do you got cooking next week that you're not going to be here?
We're going to be delivering a Merck to the EMD Millithorpe, which owns Merck. Their North American leadership team is going through a team building with us. So we will be in Stowe, Vermont, delivering a leadership forum. Perfect.
Well, I will be back here next week, and then, of course, the following week, Cindy will be back to join me. But make sure that you tune in each and every week at www.blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf. We're here, Cindy and I, every week from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want to thank you for joining us today. And if you happen to miss the live broadcast, the recorded version will be available in just a few moments. You can go to blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf and be able to catch it, or you can go to iTunes.com, search up in the podcast section, type in Women of Golf, and you'll get there as well. On behalf of Cindy Miller and I'm Ted Odorico. Thank you and have a great week. God bless everybody, and we'll see you next week here on the Women of Golf Show. Have a great one, Cindy.
Thanks, you too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.